Yes, so yesterday the Supreme Court sat. One of the controversial cases, in fact, two of them were before the Supreme Court. Richard Sky and then Dr. Amanda Odoy. The two of them had two different suits before the Supreme Court. And all of them were looking at the processes and in which the anti-gay bill was passed or was initiated. And they were in the court for the court to note that one of the reasons that President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo told the whole country that he's not going to receive the anti-gay bill passed by Parliament in February is because there are two cases at the Supreme Court, and that is in respect of Richard Sky and Dr. Amanda Odoy. There's been a lot of forth and back. The proponents of the bill demonstrated because they felt that the process had delayed at the court. One point in time, we had an interlocutory injunction application. The Supreme Court heard it and deferred judgment to when the substantive matter is dealt with. And yesterday was when the substantive matter was dealt with. And so the panel of 7 presided over by Justice Lovelace Johnson. And I'll take you through the panel of 7 quickly. Justice Lovelace Johnson presided. Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah-Mboso is part of the panel. Justice Barbara Kayezu, a member of the panel. Justice Samuel Esiedu is also part. Justice Ernest Gau, Justice Yaudakon Asare, and Justice Richard Ejie Frimpong. So these were the 7 justices then who determined the matter. In all of those two cases, two applications, or two suits, I beg your pardon, they arrived at a unanimous decision. And the reason is that the writs asked was filed by the two separately were premature. First, let's hear the Supreme Court on the judgment of Richard Sky's matter.
The Constitution itself has prescribed the mode by which an enactment properly so called can come into being, and by the principle of separation of powers, those processes must be exhausted to produce a tangible product that can have legal effect when properly assented to by the President, the head of the executive. Until there is presidential assent, there is no act Parliament over which the Supreme Court can act of Parliament over which the Supreme Court can exercise its original jurisdiction to strike down if found to be inconsistent with the Constitution 1992. The plaintiff's action is therefore dismissed.
So clearly, that is in respect of Richard Sky's writ. The Supreme Court is saying that there is no foundation, there's no leg for that writ to stand on. The bill was in the process when you were coming. The bill has not even gone to the president for the president to even assent. It was at that time when it has been assented to that when you come to invite the Supreme Court to invoke its original jurisdiction, it can look at that. So yesterday, unanimously, like you heard, Justice Lovelace Johnson was the presiding judge, dismissing that particular writ unanimously. But the other leg of the case, very similar to what we just said. Let's hear again the panel on the issue of Amanda Odoy's case.
Upon hearing the parties orally and on considering the arguments as contained in their statements, we come to the unanimous decision that the plaintiff's writ does not properly invoke the exclusive jurisdiction of this court. We are of the view that the subject of the litigation, being a bill still undergoing the process of becoming law in accordance with the provisions fully set out in the Constitution, it will be premature for this court to exercise its interpretive and enforcement jurisdiction to intervene. Consequently, we think that the action fails. It is accordingly dismissed.
The language of the court is always beautiful. The action fails, and consequently, it is dismissed. So that is the second case, Dr. Amanda Odoy. The Supreme Court held that no, it is premature, and so it doesn't have any grounds to succeed. So they dismissed those two writs filed by those two citizens. But there's they made a point that their reason, the full reasons, will be available by close of day tomorrow. So after tomorrow, once it is available, we'll know the reasons. But the parties have been reacting, responding to that. And first, let's hear lawyer for Richard Sky, Parkwesi Abedu.
I don't want to preempt the reason of the court. I heard Article 130 being quoted that the action is premature because the bill had not blossomed into an act. Therefore, we had no right to come to court. But please, for now, it is just a tip of the iceberg. Let's get a full judgment, look at it with the lawyer's lenses, then possibly advise our clients on the next step to.
Lawyer Parkwesi Abedu said, let's wait, let's get the full reasoning of the court, then we'll know what to do. But he made the point that, look, they have the option for a review. If they think that whatever has been stated in their reason, they disagree, they can seek for a review. But this is 7-0, unanimous decision.
Exactly, I was going to say that. So
going for a review, they only add 2. But of course, the Supreme Court is the only court that has the power to
review its decision.
Absolutely, to vacate its earlier position on that. But of course, the counsel for Dr. Amanda Odoy, Dr. Ernest Thompson has also been speaking.
The decision of the Supreme Court is final, but this is not final. There is another leg of finality to go. There is a review jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, which is available to us if we want to use it. And so it's not final yet.
So Dr. Akun is saying that is not the final. Still, he believes that there's a review.
I mean, what is the takeaway or takeout from this whole thing? Because at the end of the day, what is the strongest indication?
So Parliament is free to send a bill to the presidency. If the president agrees with whatever has been passed by Parliament, he assents to it and it becomes a law. That is where we are now. So there's no blocks, there's no stumbling block hindering against that particular bill passed by Parliament. But as to whether the president received it, he will assent to it, it's another thing that we'll have to look at in the coming days. Certainly,
we'll leave that for the politicians to decide. To decide. Even though from where I sit, I don't foresee the president assenting to the bill.
Well, he still has some days.
He still has some days, yes. But I don't expect. I believe that if he wanted to,
he would have done that.
He would have done that a while.
But a lot of people were also asking that the Supreme Court knew that the action is premature and still had to hold Ghanaians in wait for that long. But of course, the law has a way of operating it, so we just have to take it as it is.
Well, I can understand, that school of thought.
And the wheels of justice grind slowly. So once you go to court, you just have to have the patience to wait. The cases are many. You have your case, I have my case, other person. So everybody have to be attended to. Small.
Let's move forward, shall we? What else do you have?
Yeah, so yesterday, the Kaswa Ritual Murder, that particular case, we told you that there are 2, one juvenile and one young offender. The young offender has been sentenced to life in prison after being found guilty. And the juvenile is still in court. The court has remitted him to the juvenile court for sentence. Yesterday, he made his first appearance. The court have asked for some background checks to be done, and then from there, sentencing will be done. So that is what happened in relation to the Kaswa ritual murder case.
Okay. So what's on our screen now?
So that is the 18-year-old Nicholas Kinney, who was convicted and sentenced to life, and that's the family of Ishmael Mensah Abdallah, the Kaswa incident. So that was the last day that the courts convicted the 18-year-old and the 15-year-old. But because the juvenile, there's a 15-year-old juvenile involved, he has been remitted to the juvenile court, and yesterday he made his first appearance, and the court has asked that some background checks be done before he is sentenced. So we'll follow up and bring you what will happen in relation to the number of years that he'll be given. Certainly, and we have to let our viewers know that for a juvenile, the maximum sentence for serious crimes, which murder falls under, 3 years.
It's 3 years. That's
so
the maximum.
You shouldn't be expecting more.
So yes, exactly. Don't be expecting more. And I say this, you know, and apply to expectations with regard to the Bishop Salifu's son's case as well.
Yes. So there are situations, so people will be asking why somebody is going. The guy is 18, in fact, 18 now. But the point is that the point of reference is when the incident happened, when the offense was committed. So offense was committed when he was 15 years old. And you don't charge him because he's 18 now, or you don't punish him because he's 18 now. The law says when the offense took place. And the offense took place when he was 15 years. And Salifu Amwaku's son, today, definitely, I'm giving you the breaking news this morning. He earlier pleaded not guilty to the 8 counts, 2 counts of manslaughter, and then dangerous driving and all of that. He initially pleaded not guilty. They said, U-turn. He's admitted the offense. And watch this space. Today, there will be a finality to the matter. Yes.
Well, we await to see what will happen. But stay tuned to GHOne TV, both on TV and on social media as well.
Yeah,
we'll be bringing you up to date. You know how we do it, especially from the court. We are always the first to do it. Don't miss it. Right. So Bishop Salifu's son is back in court.
Yes, he's back in court, and like I mentioned today, the juvenile court will put finality to this very case. So we'll know what kind of punishment. Yesterday they were in court, and all the time they were doing pre-sentencing arguments in relation to that. And it was a very emotional moment, I understand. But of course, a decision has to be taken. And this morning, definitely the court will decide on the matter.
Okay, what else are we expecting to happen in court?
On the 3rd of December, the High Court made a determination in relation to the SSNIT OBS matter. And that case, as we speak, the accused person, out of the 29 counts, Ernest Thompson and some 3 others will be facing 2 counts, and then the other accused person has 7. And so today they are making their first appearance after the submission of no case for them to open their defense before Justice Henry Anthony Kofi. Hassan Akrama, who is the only female among them, has been acquitted and discharged. So that case is also coming up in court today in relation to the SSNIT OBS matter. And so the other case that is for many people would remember the side chick case. You remember that case? Deborah Seram Adabla and then the banker. They are back in court today, and then we'll know what will happen to the controversy or the dispute surrounding the car. And of course, the last one is the Cecilia Dapa's maid. That matter is also coming up. The substantive judge handling this matter has taken his leave because he sat during the legal vacation. So it is now that she has also taken her leave. So that case will be coming before a relieving judge today. So we'll bring you updates on what will happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sawa.